Hello everybody, welcome back. So we're going to look today at Bepro. That's right, I know, it's the ultimate shitcoin really. Well, it's not the ultimate really was CNS, and probably still is, to be honest with you. I'm not suggesting anyone goes in for that. To be honest with you, let's give it credit. It is a shitcoin. All of these things we're talking about are shitcoins really, these really low sort of pumpy dumpy kind of things. But I don't want to offend anybody. It's not I'm not taking the piss. I'm trading it. Do you know what I mean? And I expect way more from it. So just like CNS, was the ultimate shitcoin. I ended up making a 10x on it. Took a long time, but I did. And so I there's a time and a place for a shitcoin. But I think the word shitcoin isn't so much about fundamentals or lack of, or even just so much a terrible chart. The idea is that I suppose you expose yourself to an extraordinary amount of risk, and I think that's basically my interpretation of shitcoins. Leave your comments below. I know that there'll be lots of them because every time I bring Bepro onto the channel and I start to talk bullish about it, people still get offended and upset when I call it a shitcoin. So let's face it, out of all the shitcoins that we were trading, that we bought in that summer dip, there was 3 of them: VRA, OMI or OMI. I don't know what you guys would call it. I don't watch other YouTube channels. I just know them as the tickers. I don't know how to pronounce these things. And Bepro. They all had an even outlook as far as I was concerned. I said each one of these does offer a pretty good upside, and VRA has basically outshone the others. OMI has done okay. It's done okay. It's not done great, but it's done a 2x, maybe a 3x from the entry point. Bepro is basically just not really doing much. I think my entry point was around these levels really. So to be honest with you, I was even down. I was negative on this trade, but I'm still bullish anyway. So let's have a look at what's really going on. First of all, we'll just dissect Bitcoin because we have to. Like I say, all altcoin trades need to be done through the lens of Bitcoin's health, to which Bitcoin is still in this downtrend. We're below all major moving averages of any significance, and there's major resistances above us. We can see that first resistance more or less got tagged on this wick today, just a little bit above. We're closing, well, not closing. The day is young, but it's the 10 exponential. We're still in the buy zone though, so that's something to hold on to. Yesterday we came down to the 55,500, which is the center of this. Also corresponds to these wicks around here. So short-term confluence for the support here, and so all of this area is still technically a buy zone. We're hoping it doesn't break down. It could obviously break down because we are still in a downtrend. That does suggest, just as far as the trend is concerned, more downside. But maybe the low is technically in. We just have to be hopeful on it. It is a buy zone, so I bought. I didn't buy, but I longed certain things around these zones here, and I longed again yesterday. Not Bitcoin, but a couple of altcoins. And again, I'm not pushing derivatives on anybody. It's just I suppose in this stage of the market where things can turn around fast and furious, it would be rude not to make some longs for those with the experience to do it. I'd say, and open to that kind of risk. Anyway, I've deviated from the overall video. So yeah, major resistances all above us. We got this here, 57,200 we'll call it. Then we got a super resistance here. We got 3 major moving averages: the 20 simple, the 21 exponential, and the 50 exponential, all in at the same place. It's basically just about $1,000 away from where we're at right now. 58,200 we'll call it, thereabouts. And again, they're all descending, so day by day these will go down until we break above it and allow it to go at least horizontal and then stretch up. We can't really get too bullish on it until we get those upticks on moving averages, and at the moment, because we're below all of them, they will actually still be creeping down. This is why it's still technically a downtrend. Being below all major moving averages, obviously the 200 exponential is below us, so that's something to hold on to. Do you know what I mean? It's not the end of the world, I suppose. But everything else is still pushing down. But I'm relatively optimistic about how this is going to play out. After Mr. Biden's speech last night, this is one thing I was talking on the Patreon about, saying that charts in the very short term have to be taken with a pinch of salt. We like to chart things out, but there are some things that are bigger than charts, which is, I suppose the global financial market, which is very vulnerable to the Megatron virus, which is, creeping out of the woodwork and ventured into America the other day, which caused a little bit of a sell-off I say a little bit. It was quite a significant sell-off, I suppose, for traditional markets, a big one actually. and Bitcoin and crypto is tied into all of that. Whether you like it or not, it's not directly tied into it, but I mean it is more or less. It's vulnerable to traditional markets behaviour. But Mr. Biden came out last night, and honestly, it was hard work listening to him. It's like he'd just woken up or something. I'm not taking the piss. I'm not politically minded or anything like that. So I'm not left, right, or whatever. I'm just saying, geez, it was. I had to stop and have an espresso in between because he would be great at telling bedtime stories on CBeebies. He would be perfect for that because your kids would definitely want to go to bed after listening to him for any period of time. Anyway, I got through it, and I think essentially what they're doing, and what America intends on doing, from what I can see at the moment, unless something horrendous turns up with Megatron, they just want to carry on like they're doing in the UK, which is like the British approach, which is basically let's just hope for the best, let's get this, that, and the other, but we're not going to lock the stuff down. We'll just be careful. And that's the best approach in my opinion, and that should have avoided, for the moment at least, until something else comes out. Any further black swan event. So actually, I think for this stage now, any dip is worth buying. Obviously, there is the looming threat that something major might come out with Megatron, and he might develop another protein spike or whatever he's up to. But it seems okay, and I feel like the dips are for buying. And so a lot of this fear in the market was accentuated by that Megatron, and getting through that speech, which was hard bloody work, I can tell you. Seems to suggest they're just going to go down the route of the British approach, which is that just to be careful and no further major lockdowns, which is, I suppose, good for an economy. So we should be okay, and I think things should start to turn around maybe today. Keep an eye on traditional markets when the markets open, the American markets that is, and we'll see how we behave throughout the rest of the day. If traditional markets seem to perk up, which I think that they probably will, then crypto will also likely do the same. And breaking above this major resistance, 58,200 we'll call it, today, or any day really, should be the major milestone for this to turn around. So it's not far away from where we are. I know it's not going to create a higher high at that stage, but it's enough for it to generate the power to push beyond and create the higher high. So we'll see where this goes between now and the end of the week really. I'm relatively hopeful, but the chart, again, we have to respect the chart, is still technically downtrending. So we'll just revisit Bepro now and get what I need to say out. So as far as the chart's concerned, we're downtrended, and it was pretty significant, emphasising obviously what Bitcoin did, and it looked pretty sad. Below all major moving averages, and then just turned around. It turned around, which is good. And if you look at the state of the moving averages, none of them actually crossed particularly bearish. The 50 and the 200 are still in the right place, so avoided any kind of death cross. Now this is obviously a shitcoin, so anything could happen, and historically it doesn't really like to ride outside of a Bollinger Band for very long, so it gets drawn back in each time. So these big wicks, getting back in, it hates being outside of the Bollinger Band, and essentially that's where we were yesterday, that's where we are today. So what we'll be looking for is hopefully a continuation of this over the next few weeks or so. I think that is most likely to be the case, but expect pumps and dumps on this one as we get this. Every time we come outside of a Bollinger Band, we get sucked back in down to a significant moving average, all the way back out, sucked down back into the center of the Bollinger Band here, up, sucked back down into the center of the Bollinger Band. So we're out right now. I mean, we were out yesterday, sucked right down to the 200 exponentials. A bit of I could call it a bullish retest if it wasn't such a shitcoin, basically. So what we're looking to see on this chart form now over the next few days and weeks, basically, is the Bollinger Band itself, because the simple Bollinger Band is what's determining its ability to stretch and move up. So obviously, if you know about Bollinger Bands, which I hope you do, they need to stretch and expand, basically. They expand and contract with volatility. So we're getting volatility in it now. So we should see these Bollinger Bands, well, we will see these Bollinger Bands start to expand. Each time they expand, they allow for the wick to go higher and higher and higher, and the candles to essentially close on higher highs. We're gonna look at this on candle body closures, not wicks. Wicks don't really count for something quite so shit. As you can see, we've got a clear top here for candle bodies, not so much a top for wicks. So we're going to look at this. We got our next major milestone outside of where we've come today, which isn't really particularly anywhere specific, is back all the way up at here at we'll just call it just short of 1.5 cents. Now, I don't think we're going to come straight up there. I mean, we could. This is Bepro, obviously anything could happen, but I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for a more constructive uptrend on this one that will take probably weeks really really, and it's all to do with expanding that Bollinger Band. Now, if we go down over here, we're turning up nicely in the MACD, RSI, Money Flow Index, but because it shoots up from such a low to such a high, this does mean that we're likely to see these big moves up, big moves down. So we can just measure some of these wicks from the top to the to back down to their supports. There's a 26% retracement. This is just on the last uptrend, which was okay until the market decided it wasn't going to. So we do pull back quite significantly, 26, 28. This one, well, this was a breakdown from this level, but until it broke down as a 23, and this is consistent with how Bepro generally moves. But as far as the chart is concerned, it does look like it's in the beginning of a reversal, and yeah, we're above all major moving averages, which is good. We're just peaking the Bollinger Band now, so yeah, you might see spikes up here today, but we're very likely to be sucked back in there today, tomorrow, or whenever, and revisit some of these lower moving averages. The Bollinger Band itself, the center of the Bollinger Band, is just going horizontal now, so a couple more days this will start to have a nice uptrend on it itself, so officially go bullish at that stage, I would say, even though obviously we are pretty bullish at the moment. Candle body lows down here at 0.0077. Actually, to be honest with you, I feel as though that might have been my overall entry point. I do have a feeling that could have been it. It rings a bell. It was definitely in the 0.7 area that I bought my Bepro. So yeah, we'll see how this goes, but I'm actually quite hopeful on it. I think it's been pretty trashed recently. I think it does have a long way to go. I think it will reach its candle body all-time highs, which is obviously just about was that 150% or so from where we are right now, 160. So I'm pretty hopeful on this one to turn around. It's low volume, but it is tradable on a variety of different exchanges. I know everybody's waiting for Binance, but it's not like certain things like OMI, for instance, which is barely traded on anything. Bepro is on a few. It's on some of the major exchanges, and it even turned up on Bityard, which not that I'm promoting Bityard or anything. I do use it for, and it actually has got a lot better. It's an interesting exchange. I'll give you that. You can do traditional markets, currencies, forex trading. You can do all kinds on there now. It just needs to get a bit of promotion. Maybe I'll give them a call, see if they want to sponsor me, as my current sponsor has run out for the moment. But I'll leave it with you there. So Bepro looks like it's going into an uptrend. We'll have to see what it does over the next few weeks, which I expect if Bitcoin turns up and traditional markets turn up, then this one's actually going to turn up quite aggressively. I think people will recognise what it's doing soon, and then the FOMO will ensue. But recognise the fact that when it does come outside of a Bollinger Band, it does often get sucked right back in again down to a major moving average. So expect to see pumps and then subsequent dumps of over 20% after each pump. So we'll have good days, we'll have bad days, but so long as we're making candle body highs, higher highs, and candle body higher lows, this is going to be good. And like I say, I want to see an uptick on this Bollinger Band, but generally speaking, it looks pretty good to me. If we just bring it down to a 4-hourly as well, just to see on the very short-term time frames, we don't have a very good bullish setup on here as yet. The golden cross hasn't formed. Probably will form over the next couple of days. Expect pumps and dumps, and like I say, if we start closing below, we'll call it the magical 1 cent, basically, which is I suppose the psychological number, because I say it all the time, we love round numbers. We're simple beings, right? We're simple beings, and so that 1 cent zone is more or less the 200 exponential on the 4-hourly. So maybe we'll get a retest down to 1 cent, or maybe a wick a little lower than that. So long as we're closing candle bodies above 1 cent, I'm pretty bullish on this one actually, if that happens, because we will get the golden cross inevitably over the next few days into next week, so long as we stay above 1 cent. So it's all about the 1 cent zone for Bepro. If it starts closing candle bodies below 1 cent, then we can entertain this is a failed breakout. And a lot of it, and again, a lot of it depends on Bitcoin's overall health, and a lot of Bitcoin's overall health depends on traditional markets' overall health. So it's like a big daisy chain, isn't it, really? You're only as strong as your weakest link, and at the moment the weakest link is actually traditional markets. I know. As if we have to pay attention to traditional markets to trade to something like Bepro, but it's all intertwined. We do have to look at the whole arc of basically trading, really, and that's something I would suggest you think about it, just specifically in this moment in time where things have been sold off because of the Megatron scare, and if that Megatron scare is over now, which I think it probably is, then we can turn around across the board. But again, we've got to look at everything. So we'll see what the markets open like today, New York Stock Exchange markets that would be, and see how they react. If they react okay, then we and continue with that tomorrow, then I think everything's going to turn around pretty fast and furious. And December will be the December that we expected. Maybe not what some moon boys expect, but it should be some significant upside. And it looks like alts are going to be doing it. It looks like alts are going to be the ones that do it. But be prepared for the ultimate rotation. The closer we get to 40% Bitcoin dominance, the more likely it is that some of that profit will be taken into Bitcoin, and we see even if it's just a micro rotation. Anyway, I'll leave it with you there. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a nice day, and take it easy.